The Milwaukee Public Museum has many different exhibits that can engage the user, but the Streets of Old Milwaukee does it better than the rest. The Streets engages your senses to help immerse you in the experience and take you back in time, adding on more layers as you engage with the detail throughout the exhibit. These senses can add a lot to the experience, but they can also take away from the experience depending on how you look at it. Sight, of course, is the primary sense when experiencing this exhibit. Right away you walk up to an old streetcar that'll transport you back in time through the moving pictures it's playing on the inside, showing the old streetscapes of Milwaukee. There's even a second level to explore in the exhibit, which helps move the eye around, picking up more details that you wouldn't normally see from ground level, as well as being able to go inside a few of the shops. There are also many details that help add to the experience, such as something simple like having old-time prices on shop windows and then the realistic siding and bricks on all the houses. Inside all of the shops, there are many different collectibles and antique pieces that helps make the scenes come alive, such as this optometrist shop with lots of different eye lenses and other components added to it. The sign even adds another level of detail as there's a pair of eyes staring back out at you. If you're patient enough while exploring the streets, you may even see some things that you wouldn't pick up on at a first glance. That flash from the old camera is a prime example of this. It took me probably 10 minutes to actually get that flash caught on camera. There are some components, of course, that could have been better dressed, such as the ceiling and the lighting cascading down on the exhibit itself. This detracts from the feel since it gives off a different kind of light that's very noticeable versus the gaslit lamps throughout the streets, and you can see all the wires and poles hanging above the ceiling. Sound is another important sense at work in the streets of Old Milwaukee. As you walk around, you trip various sound effects, adding another level of immersion to the experience there. One you can hear from anywhere in the exhibit is the cat that they call Abby, which a lot of people have trouble finding her since she's hiding in between two buildings in the dark. Another component to the exhibit that amplifies sound is a mobile app which talks to you and gives you more facts depending on where you are in the exhibit. This can easily add or take away from some of the experience because if you're so intent on listening to your app, because they suggest using headphones so you can hear everything more clearly, you may miss other details, so you may not get to have the full experience without walking through the exhibit once with the app and walking through again without the app playing. Touch is another sensation that can add depth and texture into the exhibit. To the siding and brick in the walls, to the pathways having different elevations and materials, immerses you more into the exhibit. I do think, however, there could be more things to interact with while walking on the streets, such as items to open up, maybe a water fountain within the streets, or just something to engage the audience and encourage people to come and get really involved in the exhibit. Taste plays a smaller role than the other senses in bringing the streets alive. The Haymarket Candy Store is actually the only shop open for business within the streets, and it offers lots of classic candy that brings you back to the old times, such as like rock candy, different kinds of taffies. The experience starts right as you enter the old streetcar leading into the exhibit, taking you back in time and preparing you for what's about to come. The value of coming to this exhibit in the museum is that it's constantly changing every 6 months, so every time you get to go back, you get a new experience there. Another bonus, of course, is the adjacency to the other exhibits within the museum, as there are more things to explore than just the old streets of Milwaukee. When I was there, I actually kept going into the European Village, thinking it was the same exhibit at first because there was not a very noticeable transition into it. It started to blend in with the cityscape. But I am glad I spent time in there as well because it was just as detailed and as engaging as the old streets of Milwaukee were, minus the candy store, of course. Through using your 5 senses, all of these details, and with the ever-changing theme of the exhibit, it keeps bringing visitors back time and time again.